Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
I named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my friend who loves wrapping up sagas, Frank. How are you today?
Yes. The saga comes to an end, but the legend lives on forever, or whatever it said. I don't know. Well, yeah, we'll get to it.
The legend of you, Frank. You live on forever
I am a legend
in our hearts, because when I talk about the saga ending, I'm talking about the saga of Beer with Geeks. Frank is just too busy and said to me, like, I just can't do this show anymore. So I just have to call it quits. And you don't remember saying that to me?
No, I really don't.
Oh, I dreamed it.
Huh.
Interesting.
Huh.
All right, well, we're back, baby, and we're better than ever. Frank, what are you drinking?
Okay, so I am drinking one of my absolute favorite beers, but with a twist. It is a Southern Tier Pumking, so good, but Nitro.
Oh.
Southern Tier Pumking Nitro. I have never seen it before this year, and it is fantastic. It is so good. It's available in cans, the Nitro version. It is a Imperial Pumpkin Ale. It is smooth. It is silky, and it is delicious. It tastes like pumpkin pie. And creamier and more rich than ever.
Oh, that sounds thrilling.
It's fantastic.
I am also drinking a beer, Frank. I'm from Tröegs Independent Brewing.
Yeah,
I'm drinking a Troegenator, which is a double bock beer.
That sounds
the Troegenator. Yeah, I want to say that's right.
I always thought it was Tröegs, and so but you know what? Your guess is as good as mine. I love I've had stuff from them before, but I'm not sure if I've had this one. So you said it's a Doppelbock?
It's a double bock. I'm going to read what it says in the back. It says, monks had fasting figured out. No food and no problem. Just drink a double bock. Thick and chewy with intense notes of caramel, chocolate, and dried stone fruit. Nader, as we call him, serves as a tribute to this liquid bread style.
That sounds fantastic, and like something I really need to check out, because I love all the best beers that are brewed by monks are among my favorites. So that sounds like something that from that style I need to try.
It's really good. I would recommend.
Right on.
'Tis delicious. Frank, you know what else is delicious though?
What, Tim?
Star Wars.
It is.
Star Wars is delicious.
I cannot disagree with you.
Frank, the final trailer for Star Wars Rise of Skywalker dropped approximately 3 minutes ago.
Yep.
We just happened to be recording our latest Beer with Geeks, and we said, oh my gosh, why don't we just do a Star Wars episode? And we were like, okay, let's do that. That was me rewriting history a little bit. It did drop about 3 minutes ago, but we had decided to wait to record to talk about Star Wars. So I say that now we've watched it, 2 times ourselves, let's kind of roll through the trailer like we usually do on the TV talks, or not the TV talks, the trailer talks, and let's just we can kind of talk about the images plus whatever we remember from the trailer.
Sounds good.
Let's do it that way in case we forget. So we got Rey running through the jungle planet, and a helmet dropped, and it kind of looks like the helmet that we see her wearing in Force Awakens.
Yep.
Yep. It might actually be that. I'm not positive. I don't actually think it is. No, I don't actually think it is. But that would have been fun. That would have been fun imagery. So, and then Finn telling her that, like, the Force brought us together. It's an instinct, and we see Rey doing, like, these great feats of Force jumping and things like that. Like, she's been training real hard.
Oh, yeah.
The Force brought us together. And Poe, and then we switched to Poe being like, hey, we're not alone. And, there are other people out there that also want to fight with us. So it seems like they're still kind of building the new rebellion, right? Like, we're not quite there yet, which means that maybe there's more to this. Like, it says that wraps up the Skywalker saga, but it maybe this is leaving it. This is an open-ended, like, it's a new era moving forward. It may wrap up the Skywalker family story of these past,
40 some odd years.
40 some odd years. But maybe like the new era of the galaxy is not kaput. So we're gonna get more adventures with these characters, maybe on screen, maybe in books, maybe in comics. Who's to say? But
I think you are 100% right, and that they've been saying is the end of the Skywalker saga very, very deliberately, because it's not the end of the Star Wars saga.
That's correct. Yeah, I think there's a big distinction between those two things.
Yep.
And Star Wars is, as much as some people don't want to admit it or don't see past this, Star Wars is bigger than just the Skywalkers. And the Skywalkers are my favorite part of Star Wars, but there's a lot more going on for Star Wars than just them. So,
yes.
so we'll see. So Rose is back, and we got Dominic Monaghan behind her, leader, member of the rebellion. Peregrine, Mariotic Brandybuck from Lord of the Rings. If you need some help, there he was also on Lost.
Yes, he was.
And so Poe says good people will fight if we lead them. So they're still kind of like they're still building here.
I think this is them, like, going to the masses, going to the people and saying, rise up with us against the First Order.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, when he says good people, I think he means just, like, average Joes. Like, let's band everyone together. The same way that, like, we got the Ewoks all together and they took down the Empire. I think it's going to be, let's get all the people of the galaxy to rise up and sort of, fight tyranny.
Yep, I agree. Do you think that this planet is Yavin 4?
The, like, lush jungle planet that they seem to be on? Yeah, quite possibly.
If this is about like wrapping up the story that you've known for 9 films in the main saga, revisiting the first base you were introduced to the Rebel Alliance at would be pretty nifty and sweet.
It sure would. It sure would. It'd be nice to end things right where we all began.
Yeah, because we see a ship like the Tantive 4, the first ship that you ever see in Star Wars, crashing through the trees, before it switches to the ocean, planet Endor with the Death Star, with Rey on top of it, and Rey says, people keep telling me that they know me and no one does. And so it's like, I think that's telling, because she's telling the audience, everyone knows who Rey is. She's Obi-Wan's daughter. She's Luke's daughter. She's this person. She's a nobody. She's a this. And she's here to tell you nobody knows. It's to Kylo, but it's to the audience.
It's to everybody. It's to everybody, right? You don't know.
You don't know who I am. And I like that a lot. That's very telling. For Kylo then come out of the water, and he's like, but I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, which is also telling, because he's like, he told her that she's a nobody. But they could be speaking not of her identity, but more what she's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone keeps telling me they know me, right? Because this is a big argument on the interwebs that Rey is a Mary Sue, that she's just good at everything. She's a non-character, which I don't think is very true at all.
I don't agree.
I don't agree with that. But Kylo knows what she's capable of. And so I think there's a lot of metatextual like conversation happening just in that scene right there. And then his hair looks all wet and stuff, and he does that little backwards slide thing. And we get some kind of ice fort,
it's an iceberg in
colony.
space.
It kind of looks like Cloud City, but an iceberg in space.
But an iceberg in space, yeah.
Yeah. And we get a bunch of TIE fighters zipping towards it. Like, zoom, 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 zoom.
And then the
zoom.
Iron Throne.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah, it looks great. Right. And the Emperor is like, I've been waiting for something dark side. Something complete. He's like, long have I waited. You know, and then we get original OG Star Wars, the Star Destroyers popping themselves out. And then the Falcons swooping in and a gazillion ships behind them.
I think this is a volunteer fleet, right? I think this is a volunteer fleet like ragtag, as many ships as they could get together from all over.
Good people will come if we lead them.
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
That's exactly what you were saying. This is the moment. And the Emperor says, "You're coming together. Your coming together is like what I wanted." And so, but that dialogue is over those ships forming, and then Chewie, Rey, Finn, and Poe, C-3PO in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. So it might not be Kylo and Rey that he's talking about coming together. It could be, or it could be the rebellion against him. Like, he wanted people to show up at the second Death Star, remember? He's like, this is what I wanted. Now I'm going to knock you all out. And this is great. This is what I was hoping for. So it could be that. Undetermined as of right now. You know, we get some explosions in space. It looks like one of the skiffs from, or like an old B-Wing, but it looks like kind of one of the skiffs from Last Jedi is flying across the water on the Death Star. But I think it's a B-Wing because there were B-Wings.
I think it's a B-Wing.
Yeah.
But I see the similarity to the skiffs you're talking about. I do.
Yeah.
But I think it's a B-Wing.
It could be some. I don't know. Actually, the cockpit is in the middle. So I actually don't think it is. I think it's modeled on a B-Wing. But it's hard to say. And then it looks like this is going to be the end of C-3PO. Like he's getting a goodbye.
Yeah. So I think that there's something with 3PO where, I mean, we saw people are speculating that we might be getting 000 with the
red eyes. Yeah, I said that myself. Yeah.
You said it, and others, I've heard others say it after you. And I don't know if it's 000 or not. I definitely think that 3PO is getting reprogrammed somehow, and this is like they've decided they need to reprogram 3PO. And look, everyone's all around him nervous, and it's Poe and it's Rey and it's a bunch of them are all around. And I think it's for some very important reason that he's being reprogrammed, and there's no guarantee that he comes back from this. So he's saying goodbye to all of them. Yeah,
I agree. Which I think is, I like that C-3PO has a bit of a send-off. He's the first character with R2 that you've ever seen in Star Wars, and he is in literally every film.
He's the first line of dialogue in the whole saga.
Yep. Except for he's not in Solo, right? It's the only one that he's not in.
Correct.
Right? Like, he deserves a send-off. C-3PO deserves a send-off.
Yep.
In a way that R2, I want to say doesn't, but like you can get away with making R2 sounds digitally forever.
Yeah, I still think they both would deserve a send off if they were both going away because
if they're both going away, yes, but
yes.
But I think you can't replace Anthony Daniels with somebody. You know,
that's
what I mean?
right.
It's not the same. So this C-3PO getting reprogrammed thing definitely happens on that space iceberg thing because Poe, Finn, and Rey are all wearing winter jackets, and what's her name? Poe's friend from the past, Kerry Russell, is there.
Yes. I'm kind of wondering if this is sort of like Han and Carbonite.
What do you mean? Explain that further.
Sacrificing himself and in a way that I don't know. I guess not like quite in the same way that it's not a villain doing it, but that he is sacrificing himself, and who knows, maybe in 10 years when they do more of these movies, they bring him back.
Oh, I see what you mean. Maybe everybody's going away. And then we get Chewie, Finn, and Poe running down the corridor of some ship. Don't know what it is. It's very blue and pretty though. It's definitely First Order Imperial. You know,
I would think it's like a Star Destroyer or something, right? Or whatever.
Something along those lines. Yeah, because the stormtroopers, they be going down. Nice shot of Leia and Rey that we've seen, but with a new dialogue from Luke, therefore confirming that Ghost of Luke Skywalker is definitely in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't know before, confronting fear is the destiny of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good, Luke. Where was that in Last Jedi?
Confronting fear, because fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering.
I know, but he was hiding because he was afraid.
He was. Well, but he's learned that lesson now, and now he's here to give
Last Jedi. I'm just giving you a hard time. Giving Last Jedi a hard time for no reason, because it's a good movie. Anyway, that little new droid is having fun down there. That little green one that's
Dio.
which is supposed to be for Rey. Because I feel like people were like, oh no, BB-8 and Rey make such a great team. People were like, oh no, but BB-8 is Poe's droid. What do we do? Make a new droid.
There you go.
Yeah, Finn's screaming like he does, which cuts to Lando screaming, as Lando does. Which, yes, Lando. We get a Y-wing shooting at some old school Star Destroyers. Mm-hmm. Love me a Y-wing. And then we get, I want to say, so it's not. These are not the animals from Last Jedi, right? These horse things that they're riding.
These like beasts of burden. No, they're not, because they have like tusks that the other ones didn't have. Yeah,
so this is two movies where I'm watching Finn on horseback of some kind sometime. Which, in a weird way, what they're doing here is validating that scene in The Last Jedi, because it's like his practice run.
Oh,
this.
Sure, okay.
Like they are making that scene necessary at this moment. But it looks weird and dumb and throwaway that these are our organic beasts and riders on a Star Destroyer, potentially in space. I love that. This is like Ewoks versus the Empire in Jedi all over again. This is nature reclaiming the world that technology has taken.
Sure.
Sure.
Yes.
They are
yes.
charging for it at the beginning. I really like that. I'm for whatever's happening there. And then there's some Kylo and Rey in the Death Star throne, the original Death Star, the second Death Star throne room. Whew, that was tough. I almost didn't make it out of that alive. But it looks like Finn is coming for her. He is running for Rey. He even screams her name on the Death Star. And then we cut to Rey and Kylo in his helmet smashing apart some kind of obelisk, something of some kind. Almost positive, like I'm 99% sure that's Vader's helmet on top of that thing. And they are.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's what that is. And
I think we'll be speculating about this from now until when the movie comes out. But maybe that is Vader's helmet. I don't know, but he looks too short to be Vader. I think because Kylo is wearing
No.
The
obelisk isn't Vader. Just the helmet that Kylo has in Force Awakens is sitting on top of that thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. Yes. Okay. Now I see that. Yes, I think you're right. I think that's what this is. But Kylo wearing that helmet kind of makes me wonder if this is really happening or if this is some kind of a
it kind of looks like they're in Cloud City.
It kind of does. So I wonder where they are, and I wonder what's happening here. But that's a really good theory that's the Vader helmet in like the little shrine that Kylo has for it. That's a good call.
Yeah, because it looks kind of melty on the top like that.
You're right, it does. It does. I'm watching it again. Yeah.
And there has been some rumors that, like, Kylo has been manipulated through the helmet. Like, the Emperor has, like, some level of control in himself over the helmet, and so, like, he's been manipulating Kylo this whole time. He's been thinking he's been, like, talking to Anakin, and he's been really talking to the Emperor, or something like that. So this could be Kylo reclaiming his soul in some way, back for himself, but doing it on his own terms, meaning like he can wear the helmet. That's okay. Like the helmet isn't a symbol of his like evilness the way that the helmet is a symbol of Vader's evilness, if that makes sense. So I'm not sure. That's how they can run across it, because those ships aren't in space. They're on the planet with the ocean and stuff. They're on the Endor. or whatever.
Right. Yes.
Yep. And then Kylo looking pretty swift and cool, and then Rey confronting Emperor Palpatine in a big floaty chair.
Yes.
Like Thanos.
Like Thanos, yes.
He's in a big floaty chair.
I am excited to see his face. They're not giving it to us. I suspect that they won't give it to us until the movie comes out, and I am so excited to see his face.
Me too. And I don't want to see it until I want to see it. I want to see it in the movie. I want to see it because maybe it looks different, and I want to see this design because I've seen 3 different. You've seen prequel Emperor, you've seen OG Emperor, and I want to know what sequel Emperor looks like. I'm excited. And then, of course, you get the Force will be with you, said by Luke and by Leia.
Yes.
Which is, the Force will be with you always.
Do you think Leia dies in this movie?
Probably.
I think
yeah.
I mean, this could just be an effect, but she sounds kind of like a Force ghost. The way she says always at the end, like Luke and Leia both sound like Force ghosts, so I kind of wonder if she becomes one at the end of this movie.
She could. It's possible. I mean, in a way, that would take away from like the training that some of these Jedi have done to be Force ghosts. Like Qui-Gon went through this whole big extensive thing to be one with the Force, and he taught Yoda and Obi-Wan to do that. And I guess he just like randomly pulled Anakin, like, come along for the ride. You can do this now too. I'm not really sure. So
I think it would be interesting though, because we lost Han in the first movie, we lost Luke at the end of the second movie, and now it makes sense that we would lose Leia. Like the original 3, it would be sort of a poetic ending for each of them to have the movie where they die, right?
Right, and that's kind of what the original point was supposed to be until Carrie Fisher unfortunately died before they made this movie. So
that's right.
They could still follow through with that plan based around what they had filmed previously, which is kind of what they said they were doing, but I don't know if they obviously didn't film her death. You know what I mean? So
absolutely right.
Yeah,
right.
I'm
which
not sure.
Is what would make it tough.
Yeah. But if she doesn't pass, I'll be looking for that story, and I'd like to see it on the big screen.
Me too.
First.
Yeah, so, I don't want Leia dying in a novel.
No, I don't, and I don't think that I wouldn't read that novel in a second.
I absolutely would, but I want it happening on the big screen because that's what she deserves.
Because that's what she deserves. She's.
But how do you do that when we no longer have Carrie Fisher among us? That's the thing.
Right. I don't know. That was obviously one of the predicaments that they came across for this trailer.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think this looks great, and it still doesn't really tell me a lot, but it has me just pumped enough to have me excited, but not to like make me feel like this is going to be the best movie ever, if that makes sense. Like, I am not walking into this going, this is going to be the best Star Wars movie ever. I just think this is going to be a Star Wars movie, and I'm excited to see a lot of how it plays out, but
yeah,
I don't know what to expect.
Would you say the hype was bigger, like from the D23 footage, right? Like with the evil Rey with the double lightsaber. Would you say that was more of like a hype moment than this?
Yeah, I think the first trailer was even more of a hype moment. But yeah, maybe I guess because evil Rey, which is conspicuously absent from this trailer. This is a very optimistic trailer. There's nothing really dark in here. It even has a moment of, I would say, like going towards the light for Kylo.
Yeah. And I feel like that has to tell us something, that maybe that really must be like the cave sequence or something. It must be. There's nothing that even hints at that in this trailer. There's nothing there where you could say like, oh, I can see how those two things might connect. There's none of that.
Nothing like that. So, yeah, I still truly do not think that's a real sequence. Maybe it plays in tandem with that sequence with Kylo. Like you said, could be a dream. I'm not sure. I think that the creators are more inventive than we give them credit for. Like, we think of things like it's a dream, and like they've got something way different planned.
I think that's probably true. Yeah. I think that's probably true. But I say that just to say it's not how things are going to end, and it's not really what's going on. It's some kind of a misdirect, some kind of an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I noticed that at the beginning of the trailer, we're talking about, the Force brought us together. And then later on, Palpatine says, your coming together will be your undoing. Well, I feel like there's going to be a maybe he is the one bringing them together, but maybe the Force has bigger plans.
Well,
you know?
I think it's funny that you say that like the Force has bigger plans. I think people lose sight of the Force as that a force, something that is living and breathing. They say like, "Oh, it's living and breathing within you." People go, "Oh yeah, it's nice, it's so fluffy," but it is a thing. Like, is it a thing unto itself in that it thinks and does things? It acts on.
It has a will.
It has a will. Like, what is the will of the Force? Because it actually has one, and so it's not. It's not like a trust. It's not like a trust your instincts thing. It's like a listen to what the Force has to say because it's trying to tell you something. It's pushing you in a direction in one way or another, and Palpatine thinks he has a good hold on what the Force is trying to say, and then the Jedi think they have a good hold on what the Force is trying to say, but in reality, nobody does. They're not listening correctly. So, I like what's his name? Sam. Oh no, not Sam. Who was that? What's the name of the guy that did the voice on Rebels? The guy, he was a cool dude, and now he's still a cool dude. He's just older. You know who I'm talking about.
Which
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Freddie Prinze Jr. Okay.
Freddie Prinze Jr. did an interview, and he was talking about the will of the Force and like what Dave Filoni talked about. When they were doing Rebels. Did you see this video?
I think so. But it's been a while.
So he was he was talking about like he's like George Lucas taught Dave Filoni and Dave Filoni taught me. So I can only say what I know from Dave Filoni, what he knows from George Lucas, and this is the intent. So but like the Force being a thing that acts and has a will, like say like people talk about bringing balance to the Force, and so he says they say things like, "Oh, hey, like Palpatine took away all the Jedi. Palpatine took away all the Jedi, and now there's just two Sith. So what does the Force do? You get twins. You get Luke and Leia. So now there's a balance again. There's 2 and 2, and so like that's like sometimes like the balance is very literal like that. It's not like the balance is good and the balance is dark. Like you will bring balance to the Force just by being born. There is a balance. There's a
interesting.
Yeah. So there's a 2 and 2 factor. So I'll be curious, like if Disney, if Kathleen Kennedy, if J.J. Abrams like follow through with that idea. But I mean, like I don't know. We'll see.
We'll have to see.
We will have to see. But I'm jazzed, Frank. I'm so jazzed. I'm ready to stop talking about it right now.
I'm jazzed in a big bad way. I mean, we got some new characters that we hadn't really seen footage of before. It's great. It's great. I'm excited. I'm excited for this. I need to watch this a whole lot more and continue to pick it apart. But oh man, on first watch, I agree with you. The hype may not be like as big as it potentially could, but I'm pretty happy about this.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Yep, not as big as it. Yeah, but I'm trying to level my hype, so
right.
I don't want to be disappointed. So it's going to be a movie, and
you're managing your own expectations.
Exactly, and I think that's what everyone should do because I listen to the will of the Force. So, you can find us on beerwithgeeks.com and Gmail and Facebook and Twitter. You can find all of the Thought Bubble audio shows at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. You can rate and review us on iTunes and find us other places podcasts can be found. And, of course, you can head over to patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio to support these shows. Thank you, please, and thank you. So, Frank, anything else do you want to say?
No, sir. I think it's finally time to bring this saga to an end.
Oy, well then, until next time, cheers.
Cheers.